So this is the build. I'm going to show you everything that's going on because there's quite a lot going on. It's all based around my Invis Hunter with the Omnioculus. So the Omnioculus, what that does is it grants you resist and 2 smoke bombs whenever you go invisible. So it's really nice with the sword because the sword grants invisibility. Whenever I make me or my allies invisible, I gain damage resistance while invisible, and you gain melee energy, and you also obviously get your 2 smokes. You get all that resist going on, and then on top of that, this all works with the Heartshadow sword going invisible. I'm going to break the sword down more in the next clip, so whenever I go invisible with my sword, it's going to proc the resist on the Omnioculus. And then the fragments and aspects I'm running to get the best out of it, I find, is a vanishing step, again taking advantage of the invisibility on the sword, and on the hunter sort of subclass, so it's all going to work nicely with Omnioculus. I'm also running Trapper's Ambush, so I can dive onto the ground. I think we know that all this sort of works. It's going to make you invisible, weaken anything that's around you, and obviously if I'm running Omnioculus, I'm going to get melee energy back as well if I'm tagging my teammates inside that smoke. I've also run a Suppressor Grenade, Snare Bomb, Triple Jump, Gambler's Dodge, because dodging near an enemy is going to give me melee energy back also. These are the sort of key ones. Echo of Starvation, so I'm going to have Devour going, which I'll explain. I'm also going to have Echo of Obscurity, finishes grant invisibility, and I'm also running Echo of Persistence, so my Devour and my invisibility have longer effects. And the full build is all based around Reaping Wellmaker, and it sounds silly, but every time I dodge, which you're going to be doing quite a lot on the hunter to get your invisibility, any kill next after dodging is going to spawn me a Void Elemental Well. And I've also got Void Siphon on, so Void Weapon kills are all going to create orbs as well. So I'm going to get my Devour going from picking up an orb from the Void Siphon, and every time I dodge, like I said, I'm going to get a Void Elemental Well as long as I get a kill next. So that Void Elemental Well, when I pick that up, it's giving me Font of Might, which is a 25% damage buff to my sword, and I'm also going to run Lucient Blade while I'm charged with light. So basically, while I'm charged with light, dealing damage with a sword gives you bonus damage for 5 seconds, which is 35%. It also takes one of my charge with light off me, and it also increases the charge rate of your equipped sword, so it works really nicely. Now, Lucient Blade and Font of Might both work together, they both stack, so you get like a 60% damage increase on your sword, plus all the stuff you get from your sword, which I'll break down. And then Elemental Charge, so that when I pick that Void Elemental Well, that's going to make me charge with light, so I can always keep my Lucient Blade going all the time. As long as I'm dodging and getting kills, I'm going to spawn Void Wells all the time, and I'm also going to create loads of orbs to get my Devour going. So basically, it's really strong. Stay tuned, I'll show you how the sword is working. So I'm just going to quickly go over what the sword's actually doing, because it got changed on Tuesday. A few people are saying it was a nerf. It is slightly a nerf, but it wasn't a nerf because it wasn't actually meant to work like that in the first place. And on a hunter, it's not really nerf at all. It makes no difference if you're on a Void subclass. It's only if you're on another character that it really makes like a big difference. So anyways, this is what it's doing. Now, heavy attacks made with full sword energy turn you invisible and fire exploding void projectiles. But the first sort of attack here, look, it says remaining invisible grants this weapon increased damage for a brief duration, and hitting a target with this weapon projectiles while shot in the dark is active weakens them. So before Tuesday, we was able to debuff the enemy straight away just by doing that. That would debuff them straight away, but now what we have to do is we have to be invisible to debuff them. So we'd have to, basically, if he was on another character, you'd have to do that with it, go invisible, and then what we'd have to do is do that again, and then that second attack would be the one that debuff them rather than the first, and it applies a 15% debuff. But because we're on a hunter, we can take advantage of the invisibility that you get with the hunter anyway. So to debuff the enemy, you can just go invisible and then do your attack like so, and that counts, so that works perfectly fine on a hunter. So as long as we're staying invisible on a hunter, your first attack will debuff the enemy, so we don't have to consume 2 lots of heavy. So it's still viable on a hunter. So that's how the sword works. and then the sort of attack that you really want to be doing with it, 'cause what else, it doesn't really give a brilliant description. So what it does is, once you do that, you get an ulcer for about 2 or 3 seconds. You get another 25% damage on your sword as well as the debuff. So doing an attack like that, and then doing your light attack gives you a 25% damage buff. You shot in the dark, come up then. So doing the attack like that applies a 15% debuff, and then on top of that, you get a 25% damage increase on your sword as well as the 15% debuff, which all stacks with everything like Font of Might, Lucient Blade, things like that. So it's still pretty decent. So that's how the sword's working. And now some gameplay. What you're going to see, going invisible to proc that Reaping Wellmaker, and we're going to get a sword kill. That's going to spawn me the elemental well, a void elemental well, and it's also going to spawn me an orb to proc my Devour from the Void Siphon mod. So that's the sort of loop that I'm doing quite a bit. Dodge, get a sword kill or any kill to spawn that void elemental well, pick that void elemental well up. That's going to proc my Font of Might, which is a 25% damage buff for 10 seconds, and I've also picking that void elemental well up to give me chargeable light, and that's also helping my Lucient Blade, both stacking together to get some nice numbers. Really good for clearing ads. It's crazy, you can kill like 7, 8, 9 enemies at a time, and it's good for champs, because what you're going to see in this one is it's applied that debuff and then that 25% extra damage that I was talking about after you've hit something with your void projectile. The heavy attack, you get a 25%, so anything that your sword doesn't kill from the projectile, you're going to get a nice 2 or 3 seconds of extra damage to finish off with. That's the exotic perk of the sword. And on top of that, it works really nicely with Omnioculus because the sword's making me invisible, and that's synergizing really nice with the Omnioculus, giving me the resist every time I go invis, whether that's with a sword or with my smoke. Anyway, whatever, it all procs, all works nicely. I did try it on DPS on Rulk and it was not too bad. 45k hits. And that's the, again, just to sort of clarify, that's the extra damage. It dropped down to 24, but that's the 25% extra damage that you're getting after you hit them with the void projectile. And you'll see it dropping down to 36, 29, 30k's, around like that. But the strong point is against champs. It's really good against champions, because whatever your void projectile doesn't kill, plus you go invis on the hit as well, so it's really nice. And again, if it doesn't kill, you've got a nice mop and like mop up with the light attack that you get the extra damage on. I've run it with different sort of loadouts. I was running it with a repulsor brace weapon, which is a strong choice because you're obviously debuffing, and you can finish off that way to get an overshield from repulsor brace if you get void weapons with repulsor brace. I was running it with the Enigma glaive, again quite nice because I had frenzy on that, so anything that's debuffed I could switch to my glaive and finish off. And you can sort of fit anything else that you want into whatever activity you're doing, whether you're running unstoppable anti-barrier. And then this is just a quick clip of how the whole thing is actually quite useful anyway, because it's like an extension to invisibility with your sword, so you're even more ninja style on your hunter, to be honest. You've just got an extra invisibility. And then the last clip is like just sort of showcasing where it's sort of good again against champions. It does one bang a couple of champions, it has happened as you've seen. And then you're obviously going invisible and applying a debuff for your teammates. So I hope you found the vid helpful. Have a great night. Yo, I actually forgot to mention about the catalyst on the sword. I'm terrible. Basically what that does, it gives you increased mobility. I got the catalyst done late last night with one of my clan mates who carried my ass through it standing, so appreciate that. And yeah, basically it gives you super speed like so, as you've seen. That's definitely it. I hope you enjoyed the vid. Have a great night.